you so much, John. Hi, afternoon, morning, everyone. So marketing, and John, you can kind of click a couple of times here. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Gabriella from Lifa Communications. We have done marketing for Vanitech and for the Energy Storage Committee for a good 5 years now. And what we have discovered recently, and what we have discussed a couple of times, is there are a lot of different name variations that's circling around at the moment. Vanadium flow battery, vanadium redox battery, redox flow battery, VFB, VRB, RFB. And John, if you just, thank you. And the point here is not to be a police, but to try to explain a little bit more why it's so important that we all kind of use the same name. Vanadium redox flow battery, or the VRFB, is what we agreed as a committee a couple of years ago that would be the name that we would use going forward. And let me guide you through maybe like why it's so important. Our name affects the way that our customers, our competitors, journalists, and actually the whole extended industry perceives us. So as our mandate as the Energy Storage Committee, as Vanitech, is to promote the use of vanadium, it's important for all of us to use the same name. If we're using the same name, it's really the key to building the vanadium community and to collaborate around it, and we can actually achieve a lot more together. John, if you can please, no, that's perfect. So I just showed you a couple of logos there, but you might be familiar with some of them or all of them. They are some of the world's biggest renewable energy companies. And some of them have actually rebranded since then. We're still quite familiar with them and what they do because of their branding. Now, next slide, please. Now, I'm not here suggesting that we're going ahead and developing a logo for VRFB, but let's talk a little bit about what a brand actually is. So VRFBs are products. However, it's projected, as we heard in today's webinar, really that is going to be a big increase of energy storage solutions usages. And so also the potential to kind of establish a brand in this space is quite big. So as per the definition, positive association for a product, service, or entity that have the ability to differentiate itself from its competition. So in our case, say the lithium ion batteries, is we create meaning, we create value, and we create preference in our customers' minds. So that's really kind of, the goal for the VRFB is to have the first preference in the energy storage. And this is only really kind of achievable if we actually call this technology by the same name, so that we don't confuse our audiences with various different names and products. John, on the next slide, we're showing a video here. And if I can let you play this for about a minute, not the whole one, but a minute, maybe plus 20 seconds or so. I'm not hearing any sound though.
Sorry, it's because I had myself muted. So let me back it up here.
Coke is just soda. Tylenol, just acetaminophen. And Levi's are just jeans. Yet consumers go out of their way to select these specific brands over others.
An economist would say, how is this possible that a rational consumer would be willing to pay more for exactly the same thing? We love to think about ourselves as rational. That's not how it works. A very famous study done by colleagues at Duke University had flashed either the Apple logo or the IBM logo to two randomized groups of participants.
The study found that after being subliminally exposed to the Apple logo, compared to when you've been exposed to the IBM logo, participants performed better on creative tasks.
And the argument is that Apple has been telling you this story over and over again, that Apple is the brand for hip, cool, fun, creative people.
This is the true power of brands. They can influence our behavior in ways that extend way beyond the point of sale. So, to what degree can the influence of brands wreak havoc on our ability to make rational spending decisions? This is Your Brain on Money.
Thank you, John. So you might sorry, why we're talking about Coca-Cola, we're talking about Levi's, we're talking about Apple and so on. But in the same way, we should start thinking about the branding for the VRFBs. VRFBs are not just batteries, they are a source of clean energy solutions. And while there are multiple alternatives, we want to get to a point where the VRFBs are really kind of the go-to battery to complement a source of renewable power, one that all customers and industries really can identify with. Ultimately, we want the VRFBs to be chosen over any other long duration energy storage solutions. So we are then thinking about what is the secret recipe to actually get there and achieve that goal. Well, the first step is to use one name and one name only. And the second step is to tell the story over and over again, just the way that Apple have done a fantastic job on. Surely it's a different brand, it's a different target audience, but the tactic to actually get there and get the reputation that we're looking for is the same. The VRFB is the product for long duration energy storage solutions. And this is the true power really of brands and brand products and brand names. And if done right, they can really influence our behavior and the way that we think about a name or a product, like actually way beyond just the sale of an actual product. Now, the VRFB is brand product, and one of the most fundamental elements of brand identity is the actual brand name, which helps to establish and maintain a distinct presence in the minds of our customers, of our target audience, of our stakeholders, of our investors, and to keep a positive reputation and to approach the name with confidence and expertise. So it's on us, actually on all of us as VRFB ambassadors to be consistent and deliberate while we're using the name of the technology so that we can actually stick to one and not use a lot of other things. John, if I can ask you to jump to the next one. So let's talk a little bit about a strong brand in the B2B space. So as I said before, a brand is much more than a product, just a product, because it's have dimensions that distinguish it from other products designed to meet the same needs. And these differences can be rational and tangible, symbolic, emotional, intangible, and all relating to what this brand represents. So using the name VRFB in everything that we do really keeps us on top of mind. That's also why we're repeating our key messages over and over again. And as our competitors, particularly the lithium-ion batteries, I wouldn't say they're more popular, but they do at the moment have a stronger branding for themselves. We need to do the same for the VRFBs, and it takes a kind of collective effort to do that. We've definitely done quite a lot of efforts so far, and it's certainly not been in vain, because what we're seeing is that the VRFB recognition really grows year on year when it comes to reputation. But with that said, every touch point is really an opportunity to promote our name. John, the next slide, please. Just put in a quote here from Richard Branson, is saying, our brand or name is simply our reputation. We have to fight to protect that as it means everything. Nothing is more important. And that's why we need to continue promoting the vanadium redox flow battery name. I want to show you a couple of examples where the VRFB name is in use, and at the same time take the opportunity to show you some of the work that we have done where we're using the name VRFB. What you're looking at right here are some practical examples where we are using on our LinkedIn page, on the Vanitec LinkedIn page, some of the materials. You have animations, you have some infographics, you have kind of a breakdown of some of the fact sheets that we have together then with hashtags and some text to go with it. John, the next one. Same thing, just showing you different kinds of examples. This is on Twitter. This is a shorter opportunity to say what we want to say. That's why it's really important to include these type of pictures. But again, the point here is just to really show the VRFB name in use. John. And I think, not all of us have seen this unless you have seen it on our website or on our social media. But I want to show you the latest animation that we have done. And this is from a while ago, but it's based on the Guidehouse Insight report. John, please.
According to third-party expert Guidehouse Insights, annual global deployments of VRFBs are expected to grow 22-fold by 2031. This represents a significant compound annual growth rate of 41% for VRFBs across the forecast period. To support Guidehouse Insights deployment projections, Vanitec calculations indicate that between approximately 128,000 tons and 174,000 tons of additional vanadium demand would be created by 2031. As power grids across the world replace fossil fuel power plants with renewable energy, long-duration energy storage will be critical to ensure reliable grid operation. The VRFB is a leading large-scale energy storage technology that offers unique long-duration storage capabilities and serves the growing demand for renewable energy in the global energy transition away from fossil fuel-based resources. VRFB technology is an ideal fit for applications requiring longer duration discharge of 4 hours or more per day and provides more than 20 years of operation with minimal degradation. VRFBs are durable, have low operating costs, are safe to operate, and have a low environmental impact. Vanadium has been deemed a critical raw material of the future by several countries around the world. VRFBs can outcompete lithium-ion batteries in long-duration energy storage applications. VRFBs do not experience capacity degradation with each discharge cycle, leading to a significantly longer cycle lifespan when compared to lithium-ion technology. The high cycle lifespan of VRFB technology can carry more than 20,000 full cycles with 100% depth of discharge availability without impacting the longevity of the system.
Thank you very much. And then finally, just a couple of more examples outside of social media and digital in terms of press releases, infographics, where it's been published, where we're again using the correct name, the VRFB. John, next slide, please. I do want to add, just before I go into the final slide, that if these materials, we are of course distributing it, but we're finding more and more that members are reaching out to us asking for these materials. They're using it in their presentations on their own social media and so on and so on. If there's anything in particular that you want, it's just to reach out, send us an email, and we'll get that over to you. Or most of the things are also downloadable on Vanitec website. So now 2022 and beyond, the brand name is an important part of a brand's distinctive memory structure as it identifies, communicates, and protects it. So as Vanitec will continue to promote VRFBs as the leading sustainable energy storage solution. And in closing, just to say that it's crucial for Vanitec and all its members and anyone that has anything to do with the VRFBs to please use either the full name and the shortened version, the vanadium redox flow battery, or VRFBs, to really ensure that the VRFB version of the name gets adopted by other industry players, and that this is the name to use. And with that said, that was all from Lifa from today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriella. Great work as always. Any questions on the marketing side for Gabriella? All right, thank you. I do have a question that was just put into the chat, which I think is probably for Terry or for Mikhail. I understand there are different system designs and formulations for VRFB. Thank you for using the right term. How can I get a comparison of what is available in the global market?
Sorry, John, I missed part of your question there.
I understand there are different system designs and formulations for VRFBs. How can I get a comparison of what is available in the global market? I'm not sure that that's possible, but I'll let you answer that, Terry.
Well, Mikhail's probably better suited to answer that than me. There's, you know, as we are working with roughly 20 different VRFB developers around the world today. And, you know, some of those are focused on very, very large systems. Some are focused on smaller systems. Some are looking at mixed acid electrolytes. Some are looking at straight hydrochloric and others at straight sulfuric. So there's a variety of entities out there that are promoting VRFBs. In terms of comparing them, I think that's probably beyond my scope. Certainly, I'm in a position to introduce anybody to these people if they're interested, but I'm not sure I could do a good job of doing a comparison.
We do have a map of all the installations that is updated quarterly on the Vanatech website. So I urge folks to go to that as well at vanatech.org under the VRFB tab. All right, then oh, there you are, Mikhail. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, to echo, I think, Terry's correct. The only way you could really do this is by, I think, reaching out to the different companies and making the assessment yourself. In other industries, like if you think about cars, how do you compare a car? You can read like a Consumer Reports or some of these analyst agencies, and they'll tell you how a car performs on certain metrics. But still, people go and they test drive or they do something like that to test for themselves. There's not yet analysts that will compare different vanadium technologies. You could probably reach out to an engineering company to do a study like that for you if you don't want to do it on your own. There'd probably be a cost to it. That's how I've seen others do that to date. But there's not an aggregator right now that might be able to do that. I think that could also be a business opportunity as well, because there are quite a few suppliers, and there are differences in how systems are designed, how they perform, even though it's within one technology. And then in addition to what John said, I think we also have a list of, maybe it's not an exhaustive list, but it's a pretty good list of the VRFB manufacturers. And then John, I'm also thinking that we should probably just, think about including companies in another list that use vanadium in other types of energy storage. I think that, we're going to continue to support VRFBs as the ESC quite a bit, but we should just remember that our goal is to support the use of vanadium. And so any technology that's using vanadium for energy purposes, or that is interested in doing that, we are a channel for support. So it's not, we're not picking a technology over another technology. That's not what Vanatech does. We want to see success from anything that uses vanadium, and then we want to think about how can we help and maybe make that success a bit easier. So, but yes, there is a list also on that website of VRFB companies if you want to reach out to them directly, or you can go through myself or Terry.
Thanks. We have one more question here. Many of the VRFB configurations show containers versus industrial configurations that have piping and tanks, and long duration relative to fixed duration of a container. Why is that?
Well, so look, I can just share with you my experience. I think part of it is geographical, and in China and in Japan, those are the only really two locations in the last, I think, 5 or 7 years that I've seen kind of buildings being built and batteries being put into place like that. I call them bespoke systems. I think part of that is because systems there are just a bit larger than what the kind of systems that are deployed in on other continents, which are then typically they're containerized or modular. And so then they look like the containers that you've mentioned, or maybe even sub containers. There's different designs. So I think it's an issue of scale. It's an element of design. And I think it's, there are other things that each manufacturer will consider, like shipping costs versus working at site. So depending on how central a location is, there might be some considerations there. But I think some companies might even have both designs. It's interesting if you look at Sumitomo, they have 2 batteries now in Hokkaido, and one of them was as a building, and then the one that they deployed a year and a half ago, and there's actually a presentation from them that was done at the Flow Battery Forum. You can actually see that their design has changed and it's more container based. I don't know if that's the entire industry moving that way, but that's hopefully at least a partial answer to your question.
Great. I think that's a good job there, Mikhail. Thank you. All right, then I'm just going to wrap this up, telling you all thank you so much for joining today. We will have another webinar sometime next year. I'll look for information on that. You will get an email from me afterwards. But when I stop this here, if you all wouldn't mind, there'll be up on your screen a very quick survey of 5 quick questions. It'll take you less than 30 seconds just to give us some feedback on today. We appreciate everyone's attendance. I want to thank all of our panelists for today, and have a good rest of your day.